Folsom.
Yes, sir.
Yes?
You know what? You were right. I think I've changed my mind.
Yeah, the right now situation is over. It is officially, sources say, Josh Rosen's turn to become the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. A big move for the Dolphins. Obviously struggled mightily in the first two games. They believe and hope that Rosen is a huge part of their future. And now against a very good Dallas Cowboys defense on Sunday, Rosen gets his opportunity. A former first-round pick. The Dolphins traded a late second to get him. They want a big-time evaluation of him. They need to know what they have. All of that begins on Sunday. The time for right now, Rosen is starting for Miami.
I've been running ever since. It's been a long, long time coming, and I know
Change is gonna come. Oh yeah, a little Greta.
it's been too hard living.
I'll be hearing a little Greta. I'll be seeing some Greta on Monday and Tuesday at Red Rocks. Change is gonna come, and you just heard it. Well, there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is not Reggie Hammond. It is Josh Rosen, as the youngster is now the starter for your Miami Dolphins against the Dallas Cowboys. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. This gives you something to really look forward to throughout the rest of the season. And I know personally for myself, look, man, if you want doom and gloom, go somewhere else. If you want panic, if you want people that are just trying to find ways to make this all a negative, go somewhere else. I'm not doing it, man. I've dealt with enough. What's it called? This is weird. Can you raise it up a little bit on my headsets? Anyway, I've dealt with a lot of crap for 20 years and pointed out a lot of bad stuff going on. For me, this is all good. And it's funny because the way people kind of looked at this whole thing, well, some people, let me put it this way, but it's a majority, actually. And for you Dolphin fans, you can follow me on this. On the accidentlawfirm.com text line, reach out to me at 786-322-1105 if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying, okay? A lot of people were like, well, this is a negative for Josh Rosen. He didn't beat out Ryan Fitzpatrick. Well, I never really looked at it that way. I don't think they really ever were interested in Josh starting. Piecemeal this thing. They wanted to develop him from the offseason. They wanted to teach him how to read defenses, how to call the coverages, the things he wasn't doing in Arizona. They wanted him to feel more and more comfortable. And it didn't start off well for him, right? Because, again, the negativity about talking about how he was struggling and all of that. It's funny because what do you expect a guy to do when he comes to a new team with new offensive linemen, new wide receivers, new running backs, a new tight end? Everything's new to him. There's no way he's going to feel comfortable. Plus, he's a second-year player that in his first year, it was an outright disaster. It's kind of like the people that were pointing out after game one that the coach was talking about there was good communication and good chemistry throughout the week, and then they looked like they weren't necessarily communicating well and there wasn't any chemistry. Well, the coach is not going to tell you flat out, yeah, we just brought everybody together, we just signed a bunch of linemen, but, you know, we're going to try to work through this, but expect a lot of struggles, a lot of lack of communication, a lot of issues. They're not going to tell you that. He's always going to try to spin it the best he can. But you have to be a logical and intelligent football fan to understand that in football, it's near impossible to say, well, we're going to bring 5 offensive linemen together who have not been together, and all of a sudden they're going to show you continuity. We're going to put in a second-year quarterback that barely knows anything, and all of a sudden he's going to look like he's completely comfortable and knows the system inside and out. Where does that make any sense? And the fact that he didn't beat out Ryan Fitzpatrick early on, Ryan Fitzpatrick has gone through 15 training camps. He's been in a slew of systems. He understands football. He forgot more about understanding NFL pro football than Josh Rosen ever will at this point. So, of course, Fitzpatrick's going to look more comfortable in training camp, more comfortable in the preseason than the rookie. But what have we watched gradually as the weeks have gone on and the regular season? Who's outplaying who now? Josh Rosen's been outplaying Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, I'm sorry to, I don't know, disappoint the people that want to keep looking at this in a negative, but I thought Josh Rosen actually did a really good job this past week against the Patriots. You and I know that if Jakeem hangs on to the ball, not Josh Rosen's fault, he put the perfect pass. If Devontae Parker stops breaking our hearts and catches the other deep ball, and if Kalen Ballage catches that crossing route, how many more stats does he have now? How many more yards? And possibly some points on the board. Tell me you're not feeling better about Josh Rosen after that. But because of the drops, everybody overlooks, or not everybody, but a lot of people overlook that Josh Rosen actually played well. So follow all of this. Follow it the right way. The kid has made progress. He has gotten better. And it's not that they've given up on him. It's that they've been really smart here. And they're trying to be calculated with this as much as possible. Arizona last year was not calculated. They were stupid and desperate. They trade up to get a guy. They're not prepared to coach him. The team's not prepared to actually play him, but let's throw him to the fire. How does that make any sense? So, again, take a step back. Be a little bit more objective. Look at both sides of everything. What Josh Rosen is doing now, it's called progress. And you, Dolphin fan, should be extremely happy with that progress. I'm sorry if I've disappointed some of you out there. I'm sorry if some of you out there are going a little crazy because I'm not nitpicking every little thing that the Dolphins do, and I'm actually looking at a lot of the things they're doing in a smart fashion. Whether it's trades, whether it's the way you bring along the young quarterback, whatever it is. I like the way they're going about this approach and the way they're sticking to their guns. Now, here's where I'll tell you something that I like that is a pleasant surprise. And every Dolphin out there in the world that's listening or watching this should be thinking the same exact thing. Are you ready? I think they really wanted to start him after the bye week. I really did. And I think they wanted to take it piecemeal. I told you guys from the get-go, from the preseason, from training camp, I told you that he would play in the second half of blowouts. And he has already in the first 2 weeks. And I thought he would play again this week in the blowout in the second half, and the following week against the Chargers in the second half. But here's where I think, and it's going to be tough for him because the two defenses that are coming up are brutal. I get it. But here's where I got to tell you, I love this because this shows me that they sat in the room and said, well, the kid's made progress. He understands everything. And Ryan Fitzpatrick is not progressing. He's regressing. He isn't playing well. He isn't effective. He's not moving the football. In fact, when the kid comes in, he's playing with a little more moxie. He's taking chances downfield. So for everybody saying, well, the offensive line isn't giving you chances to go downfield. Well, I saw Rosen go downfield a couple times. So whatever it is, again, I'll go back to what I just said a couple minutes ago. Rosen has been outplaying Fitzpatrick. And that's what people should be writing about and talking about the last couple of weeks. How many people are doing that? Nobody. And so this, to me, is all good news. Now you get 14 games of the kid. He should be as comfortable as he can possibly be. It's not the best scenario out there. I get that, folks. I completely understand that. But last week, it wasn't a great opportunity either, right? Because you're going up against a tough team. Yet he found a way to make plays downfield. Now, it's up to the players to catch that ball, but it's not Rosen's fault. Kid plays with moxie. Kid fights till the end of every single play. The way I look at it, for me, I just love what I'm seeing from the young man. And like Bill and I were talking about yesterday, can you imagine if the next 14 games he shows us and we say, hey, man, forget Tua. Forget Herbert. Okay? No Jordan Love. No. We're not interested in Fromm. No, we're done. We got the guy, Josh Rosen. That guy balled out this year in a difficult situation. And can you do that? And of course you can. I'm not telling you that he's going to go out and win. I'm not telling you he's going out there and going to carry a team or anything along those lines. I understand all of that, but I want you to make plays. I want you to find ways to make plays. I want you to be crafty. I don't want you to be Ryan Tannehill. That if things weren't perfect, you couldn't be successful. And from what I've seen the last couple of weeks, it hasn't been perfect around him, yet he's finding ways to make some plays. So for me, all of this is an enormous positive. I get to see Wilkins play more. I get to see Godchild play more. I get to see Michael Dieter play more. I saw Barry where actually been all right the first 2 weeks. He hasn't been terrible. He's not dropping passes and looking completely out of place. He's actually caught a few balls, made a couple plays. So these are the things. I want to see what he's doing. I want to see Raekwon McMillan, who, again, I saw in the Barry Jackson article, grading well against the run. Fine. Hey, let me ask you something, because this is one where I just want to know if people are talking about this, right? Why are we not focused on all of this, right? And let's focus on the young guys, how they're improving. Because certain young guys are actually being productive. And so if they're being productive, then that's part of the foundation of the future. Yesterday, we find out from Ian Rappaport that the other piece that could be a foundation, because everybody thinks that they've given up on Rosen already. Which, if you've given up on Rosen, would you hurry up and start him in week 3 already? No, I don't think so. If you didn't think Rosen could make Lee, would just stick with Fitzpatrick at the moment. But obviously, they want to see more of Rosen. I want to see more of Preston Williams. I want to see less of Devontae Parker. We're going to see less now of Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? And all of Josh Rosen. Well, I want to see less of Devontae Parker and more of Preston Williams. Because I don't know about you, but I like Preston Williams, and I want to give him a chance to grow. Okay? Again, these are the things that I want to focus in on. Why? Because we're all, as fans, it's not about the playoffs. It's not about the Super Bowl. Our team is not going to play here in its backyard for the Super Bowl. Okay, am I right there, Bill? I'm just checking.
That's a pretty safe assumption.
Okay, so
I'd bet a lot of money on that.
Yeah.
The house.
And yesterday, I gave you a little scout report on what to look at on Saturday, what teams to look at, what college players. That's what we're doing as every year I was battling with you blind-ass fans, and you were defending crap that doesn't make sense. But I get it. You're a blind-ass fan. You don't really – there's no objectivity. You just throw it out there, and you think every year they're going to win 13 games no matter what they do. You guys know I don't look at things that way. That's why I've been very critical of the team the last 20 years. And now that they finally did something that I wanted them to do, and now that they're rebuilding this team the right way, there we go. But that's what matters.
Blind ass fan alert.
There we go.
Look out, everyone. We've got a blind ass fan coming through.
That's what it's all about. Okay? And for me, if you look at it that way, ladies and gentlemen, I think you're going to enjoy this season. The struggles and the losing. I really believe that. Them for years. This is going to
Objective.
exactly. It's like the people that they should have kept a couple players. For what? For what?
So we could end up in the middle of the draft again.
Right, exactly. And insane abyss and all that stuff. No, man. Make these moves. Get more picks. Position yourself. Make smart trades. I love it, man. That's what makes sense. Position yourself like the Sixers did, like the Cubs did, like the Astros did. They lost a lot. No, they're football players. They're pros. So that's the dumbest statement I've heard. I've heard that and Dominic Foxworth also said that whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Cam Wake,
Yeah.
like Mark Dixon, like Warren Moon, like
Well,
Joe
those are
Theismann,
guys
like
that
Jeff
happen to
Garcia.
hit.
I'm just saying, they're
Look.
lesser players. Oh, they don't belong in the NFL. They might get hurt. Sorensen and Dominic Foxworth and all these a-holes that don't know anything and want to complain and bitch and whine. Lifford Hobley. Scabs. Scabs made a team. Scab went over and played with the pros. Lifford Hobley stuck. Oh, they gave him a chance. Oh, well, these are men. These guys work out. These guys are in shape. They're strong. They're big. They can handle all of this.
If you
They're
put your
football players.
If you put your helmet on and you strap up, you're going out there. That's just the facts
hey man,
of football.
Yeah, that's the dumbest thing in the world. They make it sound
guy which, by the way, this is the ass backwards end of it. They're not worried about the player that's getting hurt because that guy can't hang. In other words, because this guy can't hang on a line, your quarterback's about to get lit, and that guy's going to get hurt. I'm going to get injured because you're putting inferior people in front of me.
Oh, yeah? How many sacks did the Dolphins allow yesterday on Sunday?
Not a lot.
Okay. Got sacked 9 times yesterday.
Yeah.
So, what's up with the Titans line?
Oh.
They're putting people out there again.
They're tanking.
Yeah, they're tanking. They're allowing people to get killed. Deshaun Watson is getting mudded. He's getting mudded.
Sacks last year, and he leads the league again in sacks already. Yep.
Oh, they're putting people on the line in Houston, like Laramie Tunsil is getting people killed. Oh man, these guys.
Yeah, but you're thinking of just there's kind of no point in that. I know. Because he's no more mobile than the other guy is.
He's the same guy.
Yeah, it's the same dude. Like
it's the same dude.
He's going to get just as tagged.
They're both athletes.
If one guy's more
exact same player.
Ryan Tannehill thing
they're such the right player that you want your daughter to marry them. You just don't want them quarterbacking your football team. That's I'm telling you, they are. If there was a mirror, they would just look at each other and go, well, wait a minute, why do I have a 10? That's the only difference right there. One dude's just a little darker shade than the other. Outside of that, there is no difference between the two guys.
When people were talking about the Tannehill move that everybody was talking about was him to Jacksonville, which that would have made sense because you're putting him up against Blake Bortles.
Right.
Like, in other words, okay, yeah, you're putting him up against that guy, then he's the better option.
Yeah, the turnover machine to the conservative arm.
Right, you know what I'm saying? At the very least, he's not going to kill you, and he's going to get you down the field.
Yeah.
And
He won't win it for
him. He will put it into the end zone.
Right,
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, that one move, paying that guy all that money, that single-handedly crippled that organization.
Who?
It did.
Tennessee?
Jacksonville.
Oh, Jacksonville.
And not letting them go forward.
Yeah.
Being stuck with that guy.
Hey, I don't know, man. Gardner Minshew is doing all right. See, the thing about that team is you don't really have to put up a lot of points.
No.
So if you can just stay somewhere
14
in that,
points was more than enough.
Right. If you're between 14 and 20, you're going to win 12 games on that squad.
That defense is insane.
Right. And they caught 100 yards on Ramsey yesterday. He played terrible yesterday.
They said, actually, I think that was the first time since
I don't know
his
how many
rookie
games.
year.
Yeah, something like that. He didn't play well yesterday. He didn't handle all of that yesterday, although he handled the press conference beautifully. But, again, that's that whole thing about, these guys are lesser players and they're going to get injured. Oh, get the hell out of here, dude. They're all football players. They're all athletes. They all work out. They're all bigger and stronger. If they put you and me out there, then, yeah, of course, that's inhumane.
Going back to Jalen, do you think, what Mike was saying yesterday, that he's, watching his P's and Q's
Maybe.
and being, because the real Jalen Ramsey will surface when he gets to the new team?
Yeah, and listen, for those of you that missed it, Mike DeRocco, ESPN NFL Nation reporter for the Jags, we had a great conversation with him yesterday. He talked a lot about the Jalen Ramsey situation. It's on our podcast if you want to check it out. But just for me, it's just I just get so tired of this because it's just basically it's lazy piling on the Dolphins now because I crush all their arguments. Just like that one, they're going to get injured. This is wrong that they're doing that. Get the hell out of here. This is wrong. It's fine what they're doing. It's great what they're doing. Give me a break. It's just ridiculous. All right, let's take a small little break here. And maybe a minute right here, 1 second. And then I want to tell you, because the Dolphins picked up somebody yesterday. The Cowboys, they were trying to trade for him. And I got some insight on Taco. We're going to talk about Taco. We're going to talk about the acquisition of course, Taco Charlton to the Miami Dolphins and why it could be a positive. Let me take a 60-second break here. Fire away, Mr. Bill.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million, whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's technologically advanced sports sedan is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. ILX, $219 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
All right, we are back, which is a beautiful thing. Anyway, so we are going to take you, of course, till 4 o'clock. Yes. Because we were supposed to... Anyway, we will have Grant Wall for you from SI at 2:30. Remember the David Silva report that came out that Inter Miami may be adding David Silva. And so we're going to talk to Grant Wall. He has his opinions on that. And I thought actually he brought up a very interesting point. So looking forward to having Grant on at 2:30. Remember, we're the only show here in South Florida that actually really cares about local soccer. Okay? So everybody else, yeah, they might get on the bandwagon later and all that good stuff. Well, we have been charging the wagon for nearly 30 years in this town. So since I've been on radio, I've always been a supporter of it. At 3:30, Blaine Bishop, the 4-time Pro Bowl safety and co-host of a Wake Up Zone and Titans Radio, is going to join us. I got to talk to him. We got to bring him on. Is Ryan Tannehill the next option for the Tennessee Titans after last? Taco Charlton will be a good addition for the Dolphins. Maybe.
Plus tax tag title and beyond approved credit offers in 10/31/19.
Get super savings on over 1,500 Toyotas during our 2020 Supra sales event at Toyota of Hollywood. Toyota of Hollywood has one of the largest selections of 2020 Supra launch editions in the country. Plus, we're selling 2019 Toyotas at up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used. 50% less. A pre-owned 2019 Camry LE, not $26,000, $18,775. A pre-owned 2019 Corolla LE, not $22,000, $13,775. Get super savings during our 2020 Supra sales event at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Cherry Street. Open till midnight.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million, whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
Back, and we thank, of course, our amazing sponsors. Make sure you support our sponsors that support us, okay? Toyota of Hollywood, Craig's Inn Acura, Nunez Law. I mean, we have a lot of great sponsors on our program, CBD, Coconut Creek, and we are adding so many sponsors to our group, Showgirls. I mean, it just goes on and on. 3:30. At 3:30, Blaine Bishop will be by. We'll also have Chris Long. He's going to join us, winwithsports.net. Get you the picks this week. Get you his picks in college and in the NFL. winwithsports.net, another sponsor of ours. Many sponsors for us here on the program. And, of course, if you want to join our sponsors, you can reach out to me on Twitter at Big O Show. Email Orlando at thebigoshow.com is another way you guys can reach out to me. If you want to be a part of our sponsors, if you want our show, some of our great sponsors right here, like Hialeah Park, where we're at every single Friday, we still have a couple of spots open to include you in there on a monthly basis. So if you want to be a part of our program, which is, growing immensely, okay? This has been a real blessing to be able to do this, and it's fun. It's liberating. You know what I mean? To have this kind of flexibility, I don't have to look behind me. I don't have to worry about some clueless program director, some idiot owner, a cheap ass. I don't have to worry about liars or thieves or anything else anymore. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing. All the crap that we've had to deal with for many, many years now in terrestrial radio, it is eliminated. It's just me, Bill, and Carlos, and that's it. We don't have to worry about anything else, which is a beautiful thing. Remember, if you want to get in on the program, it's easy. 786-322-1105 on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. That's a way you can always contact us. If it is or not, or it might be your internet connection, by the way, because I actually haven't seen any, only one on it, so it's all good. One guy says, Rosen has thrown downfield when the game is over. Let's see what the intensity of 0-0 game is applied. Easy in garbage time. Let's put it in context. Well, that's fine. But I saw Fitzpatrick play throughout the game, and when he was getting blown out, he wasn't doing anything either. And in the second half of those games in the third quarter, they were already letting up too. Ask Tennessee how they feel. 2 QBs that equal 0 QBs. A big, fat 7-9 record to rave about. LOL. I'm with you. I'm with you. I love thinking about the near future with my Fins. Building it the right way, foundation first. That's what NorCal says, chiming in, which is exactly what it is, man. It's just building it up, man. That's all it is. Now, they added Taco Charlton. And I got to tell you something. This is one of those moves that means nothing whatsoever. In the big picture, it doesn't hurt you. It's not cap crippling because they already paid the bonus. They only owe him $2.5 million over the next 2 years. Plus, they have a 5th-year option that they can tag him. And if they develop him to a certain extent and they still don't want to sign him and he goes somewhere else, they'll get the compensatory pick. It won't be a first, it won't be a second, it won't be a third, but maybe he signs something that brings you a 4th or a 5th or a 6th. You never know. So you acquired a player that if you work at it, you might develop him as a player. But if he's not good enough to be a player, but he's still good enough to be on a roster, he might even develop a compensatory pick for you.
You got something for nothing.
Well, it's not nothing because you got to still pay him. You
Well,
got to put the effort.
Yeah, but
you got to coach him up, all that stuff. Okay?
Yeah, but what I mean is you picked up that commodity just picking up off the floor, and you're going to end up turning it into something.
Right. And so let me tell you a little bit about Taco Charlton. I actually like Taco Charlton over Harris in the draft. The thing is, my guys told me Harris will be the skill set is better suited to be a pass rusher, whereas Taco Charlton will be better against the run, more stout, can hold the point, better than Charles Harris. What you don't expect from Taco is to be a guy that's going to get you a whole bunch of sacks. Well, up until now, he hasn't really been an impact in any way, shape, or form. Okay, the Cowboys are so loaded, they had him inactive the first couple of weeks. That's why he wanted out, and they tried to trade him, but there were no takers because nobody was going to give up anything at the moment for the kid. And Miami was number 13 on the waiver wire. So bunch of teams ended up passing him up before Miami claimed him. Now, they may have cap issues. They may be working on future contracts. They may need that cap space for other things, and they didn't make it a priority to have him.
The number was what, 2 years, 2.5?
Yeah, it's nothing.
That's nothing.
It's nothing. But obviously, they didn't feel much. But let's work this a little bit, right? Because you've watched. I just want to let's talk football here, because that's kind of what we do on this show. You know, it's not just fluff and just complain to complain and praise to praise and all this stuff. Let's point at things that are happening. Did you think that Raekwon McMillan could be a pass rusher? Because they've got him playing end now and pass rushing, right? So they find a niche for him. Plus, he's doing really well against the run, which is something they expected. But they've used him at the edge a little bit. They're using him in different roles, okay? Because that's the kind of team they are, that you might play a different role one set. Minka obviously did not want to share that skill set, so he didn't want to play multiple positions. Now, last time I checked, they released a defensive lineman that was signed by the Bills by the name of, do you remember? Vincent Taylor, right? Vincent Taylor did not fit the scheme, okay? And in this scheme, they want the D lineman to hold up more and allow everybody else to flow, right? Anybody watch what John Jenkins did this past week? I'm just wondering, did you watch what John Jenkins did, the guy that replaced Vincent Taylor? He held up a guy, but he not only held him up, he pushed his ass right into the quarterback and got a sack. So is anybody writing that maybe these guys know what the hell they're doing? That Vincent Taylor, that's not what he wants to do. He wants to pace up and push him back and cripple the pocket and let everybody else flow. No. If you watch Jenkins, doesn't really play with discipline. Kiko Alonso did not fit the scheme either, and they wanted him to do certain things that he did not want to do. Anybody see Vince Beagle this past week? The guy that replaced him, the guy they traded for, the guy that has pass rushing skills. Oh, I'm sorry, did he pick up a sack? Yes, he did, because he has pass rushing skills. Because in this scheme, the linebacker will need to rush the passer a little bit more. And in this first week here, kid got a sack. So maybe Taco Charlton helps out. Maybe they find a specific role for him that he can excel. And instead of asking him to be an all-world defensive end, maybe that's not what he is. Maybe he's the guy that you use to hold the point, to stop the run, but on third down, he's coming off the field. And then on fourth down, he's back in for short yardage situations. Okay? When everybody was talking about the mess on the O-line and everything else, what did you start seeing a lot more of, and who said that you would see Max protects? Yours truly, right? So, trust me, let's take a step back, okay? Take a step back, watch what these guys are doing. It's only 2 games, but in the 2 games, you are starting to see some progress. Did the defense, forget the score, what did the defense do early on in that Patriot game? They played pretty well. They got off the field several times and gave their offense an opportunity. Now maybe this week it gets a little better on offense with Rosen. And that caller might be right. You know, if Rosen's going all the time against first stringers that are going balls out from the first second, maybe he doesn't go downfield. Maybe he doesn't have time. We'll find out. But at the moment, the one thing you and I and everybody else knows, it wasn't working with Ryan Fitzpatrick. So pump the brakes for some of you out there. Okay? give these gentlemen some time to develop a roster. Give these gentlemen some time to develop a core and to find it. But also, give them time to prove themselves. Because they're not going to prove themselves only in the preseason. They're not going to prove themselves in game 1 of the regular season when they just brought 53 guys together and a that's what we're watching at the moment. That's it.
Well, like you said, that first game, where a bunch of them showed up on Monday or Tuesday, and they're playing together on Sunday. Come on.
No, and then people are ripping them. Oh, well, what chemistry? If you expected chemistry, you're an idiot. I mean, it's just like, oh, yeah, I think the Dolphins are going to win 8 games. No, they're not. What the hell's wrong with you? What are you smoking? Come on.
We will get a good grade on our coaches, the development, cohesion.
Yeah.
We're gonna know if we
Definitely.
got coaches or not.
Yeah. We've been at cigar bars and cigar factories. Speaking of smoking, when do we end up in a dispensary doing a show, huh? You'll see. Eventually we'll be in a dispensary, of course. We'll be in a dispensary. That'll be a fun broadcast. Can you get high on secondhand smoke? No, I don't. They don't smoke in dispensaries, do they? Do they? They don't do that, right? I think
you can't do it on the premises.
I think they do that, like in California, and the places that are recreational. They have places that you go that you can do that. And they won't have that here, so I won't have to worry about that if I go to a dispensary, because then I'll have to. We'll have to. What's it called? Uber it to and from there. Nico Jones says, yeah, very glitchy. Also, SoundCloud, Google Play, etc. only have the recorded podcast. We're never live on the podcast. That's why they're called podcasts, sir. Podcasts aren't live. This is the broadcast. That's why we call it a podcast broadcast, because really it's a broadcast that we then turn it into a podcast. Podcast hidden somewhere in some room, and then they just put it out there, and they can produce it, and they can dress it up and do all that. We're raw, baby. We're doing it live and making it all happen. Phone call, that good stuff. Text, the accidentlawfirm.com text line, all that good stuff.
That's almost like Trump's comment of there was no pilots in that drone.
Yeah, the drone. Right. Yeah, that's basically the drone thing. Exactly. Yeah, podcasts aren't live. Yeah, no, they're not supposed to be live, dude. They're not. Podcast is not live. It's a broadcast right now. What we're doing. That's why we call. Some of you get to watch the broadcast. Unfortunately, it's a little glitchy today, and please turn the volume up on YouTube. So again, it's we're hurting in volume once again. Every day we seem to not be able to nail the. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Give us some time to figure this baby out. Let's do this. Let's break here for to start off hour number 2 of the podcast broadcast. We got to get into let's get into some silly stuff, right? The NFL Competition Committee, right? Article came out that they may look into the Dolphins' the way they're tearing down their franchise, that they're not competitive, and that they may look into it. Let's start off hour number 2 telling you why those asswipes are absolutely off. They will have no beef, no action whatsoever against the Miami Dolphins. And those that are pointing it out, you're just whining to be a little bitch. All right? Hour number 2 is next here on the podcast broadcast. Don't forget to search for us at Big O Radio Show on SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes. We're all there as always. Are we ready, Bill? Let's do it. Second half is coming up next.
It's unethical and morally because we understand how dangerous football is as a game. Putting guys out there in this type of danger is a problem, but you can put that aside. I think as an employer, you have an obligation to provide as safe a working environment as you can and also provide the people an opportunity to succeed. These young men have committed their lives to getting to the NFL. And the expectation is once you get to the NFL, the team will do the very best that they can do to make sure you succeed. I really want to know. This there, and that's not fair because these guys are physically paying the price. These guys are putting bad film on tape because they're not trying to win, and it's going to shorten their careers. And you know who's going to benefit from them? The owner and the general managers and maybe the potential future coach. These guys aren't going to benefit from it. They're going to be out of the league having their careers ruined. Team like the Dolphins.
just one rock. And all I needed was just one rock. Can you say that you don't give up rock? On myself stupefied, I'm back again. All I wanted was just one rock. One time it's so innocent rock. When I feel like I'm shut out of rock. On myself stupefied, I'm back again. Why do you like playing around with my scope on reality? I can build it all, start slipping. I think I'm breaking down. Why do you like playing around with my scope on reality? I can feel it all start slipping away. See, All the people in the left wing, rock, and all the people in the right wing, rock, and all the people in the underground, rock. By myself, stupefied, coming back again. All the people in the high rise, rock, and all the people in the projects, rock, and all the heavy in the barrio, rock. By myself, stupefied, coming back again. Why do you like laying around with my microscope of reality? Think I'm breaking down. Why do you like laying around with my microscope of reality? I can feel it all start slipping away. See, but I don't get it. Don't you think maybe we can put it on credit? Don't you think you can take it to another minute? I get stupid mind. It's all the same as a living, I don't get it. Don't you think maybe we can put it on credit? Don't you think you can take it to another minute? I get stupid mind. I get stupid mind.
We're ready, baby. Ready to rock and roll. Second half of the program. Blaine Bishop will join us at 3:30. The four-time Pro Bowl safety will stop by. We'll have a little fun with him at 2:30 in this hour. Grant Wall is going to join us from SI. We'll have a nice conversation with him as David Silva has been rumored to come to Inter Miami. So we'll ask Grant his thoughts on the 33-year-old Manchester City star coming over here, who's got 54 goals and 100 assists in his career with Manchester City. Beckham has reached out also to Messi. Luis Suarez and Edison Cavani have also been linked. So we'll talk to Grant about all of those things, because Moss and company are going to make a major impact, okay? And by the way, they're telling us the volume is good now, so they are happy there in YouTube and Twitter land right now that the volume is a good thing. So anyway, we got that going on. That's good. So Grant Wall will join us at the bottom of this hour in a few minutes. Now, the other thing that I found pretty funny, and it's a story that started floating around a little bit about the competition committee possibly checking out what the Dolphins are doing and how they've torn their team down, right? And listen, we're talking about a league that does nothing about men beating women, okay? Nothing. They do nothing whatsoever. So Daniel Kaplan from Sports Biz, he wrote an article that apparently the competition committee could be looking into what's going on with the Dolphins. It says, by all accounts, the Dolphins are tanking, and to an extreme not seen before in previous iterations of clubs losing to gain cap space and draft picks. So much that it's gotten the attention of the NFL Competition Committee. The committee will probably have the question to pose it again, if not by the media, made by teams, a league source says. It's likely the Competition Committee will have to address the issue. You can't tell somebody how to run their football team, baseball team, basketball team. Okay? The Marge Schott situation years ago, you youngins out there don't know what the hell we're talking about, but that person was a racist, unfortunately, and so they had to boot her out, just like what happened with the Clippers owner, Donald Sterling, that they had to get rid of him. That's when the league can step in. The league can step in like they did with the A's. The league should have stepped in with Loria. But it's not like the Dolphins are avoiding paying any money, or they're going to try to be losers on a perennial level year in and year out. They've been losers on a perennial level year in and year out, trying to win. And anybody that knows Stephen Ross knows that he's not cheap. And he's not the guy that wants to try to lose, or he's not going to, or he's going to stay away from buying players or anything. Give me a break, dude. Stephen Ross wants to win in a big-time way. The Dolphins are clearing all this cap space so they can spend it, but spend it wisely. Spend it the right way. Rebuild the team. Houston did this, the Astros. The Cubs did this, and so did the Sixers. And it wasn't with the intentions of saving money. It was with the intentions of obviously some people in the media definitely don't realize that, because it's lazy. It's really easy. Oh, let's pick on the Dolphins because they're tanking. They're not trying. The hell are you talking about? They're trying so hard that they're willing to take this drastic step in order to get there. They're willing to take on the ignorant criticism in order to win. So, in a way, the Dolphins are actually making a bigger sacrifice than most teams ever make. So, to me, it's just ridiculous to sit there and start pounding on the Dolphins when all they're trying to do is rectify their situation, finally correct it, because they never were able to correct it. All they ever did was bury themselves deeper and deeper and deeper into the abyss. Because as you keep adding bad contracts, you keep adding dead money in the future. I would tell my Melly all the time, because Omar has this thinking that, well, it don't matter. You can finagle the numbers however you want and get more money out of the future. No, dude. It's a cycle. And if you don't have $20 million in this cap because it's dead, then you've got to find the $20 million in the future, which is now $20 million less you have in the future that you're working with. So it becomes a vicious cycle. And that's the vicious cycle that the Dolphins were in, that they kept mortgaging the future and all of that. Now the Dolphins don't have to do that. Now their future is clear. They have no money, serious bad money that they owe, okay? Not like Xavier and Howard and, that kind of money is good money. I'm talking about dead money. I'm talking about players that aren't here, players that are dead beats. That's the kind of money you want to eliminate. And I think that's what they're trying to do. So that way, if they ever are going into the next year because of salary cap, it's just for one bonus, and that's it. But if you keep doing it for everyone else because you're extremely short on your cap year in and year out, then it becomes just a terrible, terrible problem. I can't understand you. You got to... Oh, New England, yes, exactly, yeah. New England never that's right. They never, ever are mortgaging the future. They are staying liquid all the time, and they're willing to make the tough decisions and say, okay, this guy's reached this peak. We got to trade him before he falls off the edge, or he has fallen off the edge, time to move on, and they make the cut. They either make a trade or a cut, and it's not an easy one, but they're willing to do it. That's why I'm telling you that what Chris Greer's doing, it actually needs to be commended, because he's willing to do something that is going to be heavily criticized because most people don't understand what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish. That's the problem. Oh, the Jets, yeah. The Jets continue. The Jets continue in that cycle that the Dolphins have been in. Good point, Carlos. And let them do it. That's fine. I'm extremely happy to watch the Dolphins finally get smart. Don't know about you guys. I think a lot of you are right there with me that you're happy about this. And that's the other thing. And one of the things that I got to commend a lot of you out there on this too. I really do, because I find it really cool, and a lot of you fans out there, because I see media people sometimes talk about this a little bit, whether it's radio, TV, or even on print, right? And they start talking about the fan base on how they feel about this. And they go, no, well, wait a minute, hold on. A lot of Dolphin fans are for it. And I'm proud of those of you that are for what's going on and understand it. Why? You're not allowing these people to pollute your minds. You're not allowing these people that really don't know what they're talking about, and they're misinformed, and they're telling you that this is all wrong, and yet it's all right. So I'm proud of a lot of you Dolphin fans that you're like Chris Greer. You're staying the course. Okay? Hey, we've gone through 20 years of pain. What we're going to go through over the next 2 years, this year and next year, it's nothing. Nothing. I'm telling you. Because you're going to start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel every single week as we get closer to years 3 and 4 of this. It'll get better by the end of this year because you'll have a better feel for some of the players. Then you're going to have a slew of draft picks that are going to come in, plus maybe another street free agent or two that might be a gem. And then you're going to watch all of those guys grow with the guys you have now, and you'll feel even better as year 2 goes on. And in that offseason, when you get that third draft and you're going into year 3, that's when you start to see that team turn the corner. That's when you start to see them be really competitive week in and week out. That's when you start to see them flirt with that 500, possibly playoffs, and maybe out, but you're ready for year 4, where you're like, okay, they're mature, they're deep, they're young, they're talented. Now we're ready for some playoffs, year in and year out. Hopefully that's how the plan goes. But that's hopefully what we're going. I already told you in the first hour, if you look from week 1 to week 2, there was some progress. Not because you lost by 10 less points or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you watch certain phases, certain players, it got a little better. It's going to be hard. Remember what I've told you from the preseason on, from training camp on. This is not a collective thing. Unfortunately, that's not what it's about. It's not about a team winning 10, 12, 14 games and going to the playoffs and deep run into the Super Bowl. It's not about that. It's about watching individuals get better. Because unfortunately, collectively, they're not going to be good enough to really accomplish what we all want to see them accomplish. Although this year is not really about that. So that's why I enjoy it. I think it's just one of those things that fight through all of this. Fight through all the negativity. And don't allow it to drown you. It's just not worth it.
Like growing pains.
Yeah.
Basically growing pains.
That's all it is. It's like I told you guys, this is an expansion team. It's a fresh expansion team. Now you get to watch it build from the beginning. And now with a bunch of old guys, like regular expansion teams, you're going to watch it be built with a bunch of young guys. Because they're going to bring in as many young guys as possible. That's why you bring in a Taco Charlton. Try him out in Kimdiche. Try him out. It doesn't hurt you. That's the flexibility you have now. You won't have that flexibility in year 4. Your roster will be loaded. You won't be able to take those chances. It's just a whole different ballgame. But now, you might unearth something. You never know. Big O, I sold a record amount of tickets to Fan Club Weekend versus the Jets. Fan base is strong. NorCal. There you go. I'd like to next year we'll be ready, NorCal, and Bill and I will travel to a few of those get-togethers and hang out with you guys and do all of that stuff. Maybe do a little podcasting, broadcasting from it. We can do all that kind of stuff. I like that. That's going to be good. I mean, hell, that Vegas trip is going to be absolutely legendary. Oh, and I do want to remind you, go to our Twitter page, Facebook, Orlando Alzagari Big O Show. We have the link there for you so you can join our big Dolphin group that's going to reserve hotels, or hotel rooms, that is. We've got, it's almost like 200 already. So you can join us in the bigger the group, the more rooms we're asking, the better room rate we're going to get. So the link is there. You can reach out to NorCal. He is organizing it all for everybody. So make sure you sign up and join us in Vegas, okay, for the draft. That's going to be a legendary weekend. It's just going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. We're all going to be in a much better place. We're going to be feeling better about the Dolphins. It's going to be a lot of hope. There's going to be a lot of exciting names that are going to be joining the team. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. It really doesn't. Outside of, hopefully, we're talking Super Bowl 4, 5, 6 years from now, that would be really, really nice. That would be, I mean, storybook, actually, to get from this point to, can you imagine if 4, 5, 6, 7 years from now, you finally get to that Super Bowl and you win it, and you remember all the crap you had to endure because of the teardown?
84. Right now we're at 35. You add 5, that's 40 years between appearances.
Yeah, it's crazy. But there you go. It could happen. Don't tell me it can't happen. It can happen. Now the boys have got to make the right picks and turn this baby around, and I truly believe they will, man. I truly believe they will. I have lots of hope for our beloved Miami Dolphins down the line. Dolphins, by the way, are 22-point underdogs in this game. The over and under is 47.5 for this game. It's crazy stuff. We're going to have Chris Long, by the way, later on in the show with winwithsports.net. We'll have a little fun with him. And what's it called? Around the State, just to give you on Saturday some of the stuff going on. The Gators are favored by 14 against Tennessee. The Central Florida Knights are favored by 11 against Pittsburgh, over and under 61. Over and under Tennessee, Florida is 49. FSU's favored by 6.5 against Louisville, over and under 61. Is FSU good enough to give anybody 6.5? That was kind of weird. La Tech is favored by 7 against FIU.
They had a problem with the University of Louisiana and Monroe.
Yeah, I know. UM is favored by 29.5 or 30, depending on what line you look, against Central Michigan. Over and under is 48. And FAU, not a lot of lines available, but the one I found against Wagner was 35 for FAU. Okay. Hasn't been a great start so far for FAU or FIU. Those guys, I think, expected a little better, and so did their fans. They were hoping for a little better for the Golden Panthers and the Owls there. All right, we're going to talk to Grant Wall when we come back on the other side. And Grant is a soccer reporter for SI. And he does excellent work. And he's got a podcast called Planet Football. And in the podcast, I think it was yesterday's podcast, he had his opinions on David Silva. I'm thinking 90210, right? Because that was David Silva, right? David Silva joining Inter Miami, the 33-year-old Manchester City star, is maybe possibly set to join Miami. So we'll talk to Grant Wall about that. You can follow him on Twitter at Grant Wall, catches work at SI. And, of course, Follow him on Twitter, like I said, at Grant Wall. Also, I do want to remind you that if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, send them in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line at 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105. Let's play a little break here at the bottom of the hour. Quick break, minute and a half. And then we'll get Grant Wall on for you, and we'll talk about this exciting news. Inter Miami. Hey, listen, remember, every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, Michelle Kaufman from the Herald joins us for an Inter Miami segment, and nobody is going to give you more on local soccer than this program. So if you're a local soccer fan, nobody has respected local soccer like we have. Back in about a minute here with Grant Wall from SI.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million, whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's technologically advanced sports sedan is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. ILX, $219 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
Plus tax tag title and includes $8.99 dealer fee on approved credit. Offers end 10/31/19.
Get super savings on over 1,500 Toyotas during our 2020 Supra sales event at Toyota of Hollywood. Toyota of Hollywood has one of the largest selections of 2020 Supra launch editions in the country. Plus, we're selling 2019 Toyotas at up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used. 50% less. A pre-owned 2019 Camry LE, not $26,000, $18,775. A pre-owned 2019 Corolla LE, not $22,000, $13,775. Get super savings during our 2020 Supra sales event at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2014 to 2018 per SET, on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street. Open till midnight.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million, whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
It's a beautiful thing, and it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. We are in Hialeah Park, baby. Second floor poker room, having some fun. Come on out every Friday from 1 to 4. We're going to talk to Grant Wall now from SI. Do we have Grant already? We do? All right, it's a beautiful thing. Grant, good afternoon, my man. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain, my brother. How'd the book sale go, man?
You know, I did okay. I got a lot of nice reviews. Paperback is out recently here for Masters of Modern Soccer. And, you know, obviously it would have been great if the U.S. could have made the World Cup in 2018 when the hardcover came out, but they didn't. And so that is what it is. But the book's still timely, I think. Plus, I think it's a good read.
Yeah, there's definitely a good read, and you know, listen, you're the gold medal stud. Unfortunately, our team, you know, is far from it, so they didn't live up to it like you do. You know, if we had 11 Grant Walls on the pitch, you know, then we'd be all right. You know what I'm saying?
I did my part. That's all I can say.
Damn right. Tell the folks out there, for the soccer fans listening, the name of the book so they can check it out.
Yeah, it's called Masters of Modern Soccer. It's about the craft of soccer, position by position. Manuel Neuer, Vincent Kompany, Xabi Alonso, Christian Pulisic, Chicharito, Roberto Martinez, Michael Zorc. Spent 2 years doing interviews with those guys about each position, about how they go about doing what they do.
It's a beautiful thing, man. Grant Wall, by the way, you can follow him on Twitter at Grant Wall and catch his work at Sports Illustrated. I was watching a little Planet Football like I usually do, and I thought your comment was spot on because the report of David Silva possibly headed to Miami, which I love the move. Don't get me wrong here, but I thought you had an interesting take, not about the athlete, but about the PR side of it. Give us first your take on what you think about this move, and then what you were saying on Planet Football.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I would say that Silva would be a really welcome addition to MLS. He has followed soccer over the last 10 years. The guy's had a tremendous career in Spain and also with the Spanish national team, obviously with Manchester City, still an important player for them. And so I'd love to see him come into the league. I also think this report in the Independent is likely to be credible. It's by Tony Evans, who used to be the sports editor of the London Times, really respected figure over in England. So I think there's a lot of probably truth to this report, even though I haven't done any of my own work yet on reporting it. But I think it's a good chance that this could really happen, that David Silva is set to join Inter Miami next year. But the point that came up yesterday when we were talking about this as the news emerged is Silva's a tremendous player from a soccer perspective. And I think he can bring a lot to what Inter Miami wants to be. He is certainly not in my opinion, a Zlatan Ibrahimovic type at all in terms of somebody who can be the public face for a franchise. David Silva is by all accounts, a lovely guy, but not much of a talker. He preferred to let his soccer do the talking for him. And, I think that comes into play when you are MLS and you're trying to build teams, and you got to take into account not just the soccer side, but the other aspect of the PR side. So I would think that if, Miami has the ability to sign another designated player, a third designated player, that they would want to bring that person in as the so-called marquee player, and David Silva would be tremendous as a second big name on the team.
Grant, let me tell you why your comment is pure genius, and you don't realize how genius your comment is, because no, seriously, because you're not a true South Floridian like me. I'm born and raised here. I've been here for 52 years. It'll be 53 in October. And hopefully I'll make it to October 1st. But my point is, when the MLS was here and I worked for the Fusion, we had Ray Hudson. And Ray was the ultimate ambassador for soccer. As you know, because you watch him on television, nobody is more colorful than that dude. So he was on all of our radio shows and TV, and even the guys that knew nothing about soccer, like my man Hank Goldberg or Joe Rose, those guys knew nothing about soccer in those days. They brought him on simply because of his personality, and then he would win them over and then would win fans over. The Panthers, when they had success back in the mid-'90s and they got to that Stanley Cup against the Avalanche, Scrudlin and Mellenby and all those guys, Van Beesbrook, all those guys, they were also colorful. They also had personalities. They were able to sell the sport. And in a market like this, where you have people that are novices about hockey or even soccer, yeah, I know we have our Central and South Americans that know it, but what I'm saying is the Anglo fans who are not going to be hardcore, or the Caribbean fans that aren't necessarily hardcore soccer fans that live here, you have to educate them. And Ray Hudson was a guy that bridged that gap. And the Panthers were able to sell hockey because of those guys. The current Panthers that they have now, they're so European that they don't talk the game. They don't have personality. So it's really hard for them to sell the game to us. That's why what you were saying about David Silva makes all the sense in the world. He's not the guy. They've got the young guy also already in place that we don't know what he is. You're right. That third piece needs to be a colorful guy, because if not, then it's David Beckham, the guy that's not playing, selling the team, and that's not really what you want.
Not necessarily. I mean, though Beckham will help, I think it's good that you have Beckham involved down there. I'm curious to see how much he'll be involved. once his team gets going. But yeah, I think from a soccer perspective, Silva is that would be a good signing. Now, am I 100% sold on the soccer side? Not 100%. I think my partner, Luis Miguel Echegaray, on Planet Football TV for Sports Illustrated, had a good point. His concern is that it could be like when NYCFC signed Andrea Pirlo. Now, granted, Pirlo was a year and a half older when he joined NYCFC than David Silva would be when he joined Inter Miami. But, you know, what happened with Pirlo here was he just was a bad fit for that team, NYCFC, in their first season and what they were wanting to do. And so, you know, you're never going to have a 100% slam dunk situation when it comes to an MLS signing. And personally, I would tend to want to stay away from too many signings of players in their 30s. I think Atlanta has gotten a lot right by not doing that, and they won the title last year, have a chance to win it this year. They went young, and with young South American talent. We're seeing Miami do a little bit of that. So, you know, part of me also would hope that for a third DP, a designated player, that Miami might sign, you know, someone in their mid to late 20s, if that's like a recognizable person. I think a couple of guys in their 30s might not be the way you want to go.
No, I'm with you there. And the one thing that I will say about what I like about Inter is they got their sporting director is a guy that has done this already 2 other times. So
Correct.
that is impressive right there. If you've been successful in building 2 other franchises, to have that kind of experience and bring it to Inter, I thought that was actually genius on their part.
Yeah, Paul McDonough has done this with Orlando when they started out, and then with Atlanta when they started out, and obviously Atlanta has done extremely well. So he knows how to build rosters in this league. I think he's a real asset to have in Miami. You need people who kind of know how things work today in MLS and work well. And also, it sounds like he's got a good budget to work with. You know, this team isn't going to come in and you know, pinch pennies, and they want to make a good impression from the start.
You mean like Horowitz with the Fusion back in the day? You mean like that? when he was charging $45 a ticket and digital taquawita is on the pitch? Yeah. I'm telling you, Grant. Back in those days, I'm standing there going, they're charging $40 to see digital taquawita. Are you kidding me? And then they're wondering why. And that was the thing that the late great Doug Hamilton and then Hudson took over, and they turned it around. We still would have that team if those 2 guys were in charge and they had great ownership. That would have been the difference right there, because the late Doug Hamilton was just a phenomenal human being. He was a great personnel guy, too, at the same time. Those guys had it going on here. They turned it around quickly in those 2 years. They went from 4 to 7 to 11,000 in attendance, and they were probably going to hit about 14 or 15 the following year. It was a real shame back in those days when we ended up losing the Fusion because of poor ownership.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was an ownership situation. Obviously, MLS is in a different place today than it was then, and what we're seeing is this season with LAFC, they're in their 2nd season as a team. Last year with Atlanta United, they were in their 2nd season as a team. They've been the best teams in the league the last 2 years. So it's possible to come in as an expansion team to MLS and do extremely well very soon, but you have to know what you're doing. And I do feel like if you have a guy like Paul McDonough there, that's an indication that you have people who know what they're doing.
Well, not only that, and you got an owner like Jorge Mas who says, when we go get our 3 players, we're really going to legitimately get, some stars in here. And remember, it's not just about David Silva now, all right? Listen, Grant, we keep hearing about Luis Suarez, Edison Cavani, right, and even Messi. So you tell me, what are you hearing? How realistic are any of those names joining Inter Miami?
The Messi one seems unrealistic to me. I hate to sort of throw any cold water on that. I just think it's very likely Messi will play for one club in his entire professional career, and that's Barcelona. I mean, he sat across from me and essentially said that to me back in 2016. I don't think he has any great desire to move elsewhere. But in terms of other guys, Cavani and Suarez, Yeah, I certainly could see them as possibilities because terrific players, they still are playing at a high level, and yet their situation at club level, Cavani at PSG, Suarez at Barcelona, they're starting to get moved out a little bit. You know, Griezmann got signed for Barcelona, which suggests that Suarez, you know, may be expendable, I think, in the right situation. He may be looking for it. And then Cavani, his, you know, Uruguayan front line mates, they've been so good over the years. You know, he's been at PSG for a long time now, and you know, in his 30s, so I think that would be a concern. But these are two guys who work extremely hard. I don't think they would look at MLS as a vacation.
Question is, who bites better, Luis Suarez or Marv Albert?
Well, we've seen Suarez do it more than once. I can't believe how stunned I was in the World Cup in 2014 when he had done this before and then did it again in front of the world against Italy.
Yeah, that was. I'm wondering if we bring him here, do they put him on a muzzle? I'm just wondering. I just plays with a muzzle. I don't know. Now, listen, Grant Wall, by the way, joining us, SI Soccer Writer. Excellent work as always. Follow him on Twitter at Grant Wall. Grant, what was the watershed moment for this league to become a money maker now? I'm not telling you they're printing money like the NFL, but you know, you and I kept hearing all the negativity, and we kept telling people, watch it, it's growing, and it's here, and soccer is successful, and it draws more per game than the NBA and the NHL. What was that watershed moment in your eyes that now soccer became good business in this country?
Yeah, and it really has gone from being a situation where MLS was having trouble getting beyond 12 teams. They didn't really have anybody wanting to come in as expansion teams, pay the expansion fee, to now, you know, they're headed for 30 teams, 24 next season, and teams are paying an expansion fee of $200 million just to get into the league. They're competing to be a team to do that, and then spending $400 million on a stadium. And I think if you're going to pick one watershed moment, I would say Beckham coming to LA, and after the first two seasons were kind of a disaster, things worked out well. He ended up playing 5 seasons in LA, won a couple of championships, and I think that was one of the first times that people
American soccer was, because growing up, I remember we'd pack the stadiums for Pelé, you know, and all that stuff. And I remember when they would come down here to Fort Lauderdale, and I would go as a kid over to the stadium to go watch it. Obviously, we didn't have the crowds that they had in New York, but the day that Dempsey came to the league and there were 60,000 people to see an American player in Seattle, that to me was the moment that, okay, soccer has finally broken through. It is now becoming more mainstream than ever because we're not showing up for an international player. Okay, everybody's going to show up to watch Messi and Pele and whoever else that you bring down here, Beckham, whatever. They showed up for Dempsey that day. To me, that was one of the great moments in our country when it comes to soccer and how it has grown to become one of the top sports in this country.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, I think it's cool that there's been several moments, but that was the first big moment for an American player to come back and play club soccer in the U.S.
Pro soccer, right? Because we've had our Olympic moments with men and especially the women, obviously. But when it came to the pros, we have never had an American bring 60,000. That just does not exist.
Yeah, I would also add that. Kind of similar when Dempsey came back to then when Michael Bradley came back and Josie Altidore came back to Toronto. Now, you would find some U.S. fans who would say that Dempsey, Bradley, and Altidore shouldn't have come back, that they should have stayed in Europe, and it might have been better for the national team, and they might have qualified for the 2018 World Cup. I understand both sides of it, but I do think from an MLS perspective, getting really, the best American players to come back is those are big moments over the years, and you're always going to have a balance, right? Christian Pulisic is the best American men's player right now, and he's in Europe. He's not going to come back to MLS anytime soon, I don't think. even though I know people are frustrated that right now he's not getting a ton of playing time for Chelsea.
Wow, that's tough stuff. Grant Wall, as always, kind enough to join us. Follow him on Twitter at Grant Wall. Catch his exceptional work at SI Soccer, as always. Grant, thank you for taking some time, talking a little soccer, man. We always appreciate it, and I love it, man. We're getting closer and closer to having it here in South Florida again. Can't wait.
Looking forward to it. Take care.
Thank you. There you go, Grant Wall. And, by the way, Planet Football is the other thing you should check out from Grant. That podcast is really cool. You get to check that out too on Grant's Grant's deal there. He's got so many different things that he's doing with SI and the podcasting, writing books and everything. If you're a soccer fan, he is definitely a must follow. All right, we thank Grant Wall. Next hour, Blaine Bishop will be joining us at 3:30. He's going to join us. If you want to join us, you can do it on the accidentlawfirm.com text line at 786-322-1105. That's the way you want to get in on the program. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the show. Nike has dropped Antonio Brown. How about that? And listen, we had Robert Klemko on yesterday with us. If you missed that interview from the SI writer, he was exceptional. He's the one that broke that story on Antonio Brown. And then he also had a follow-up story that he posted last night. And he also posted these texts that were threats that were sent from Antonio Brown, basically trying to intimidate the trainer. And the text he wrote, really sad you would make up this BS story to the world. Thought you had more integrity and respect for yourself. Must be really hard times for you to make up stuff for money. Super sad. The girl who unfinished my painting in my room from blank super broke girl with a lot of kids. Such a shame. This her in text, Eric B. Let's look her background history, see how broke this girl is. From blank, basically cried broke for opportunities. I let paint my room, couldn't finish. I flew out now to hear this, so sad. And then he sends back a text of the pictures of her kids and says, those kids and IG, Eric, she's awfully broke, clearly. And so this was a way of intimidating for what's it called? For Antonio Brown. And that's the way they feel too, by the way. That's the way their side. This is why I told some of you out there that you should not make fun or assume immediately that somebody's a gold digger. I get it. It happens a lot in this world. But in this case, we have no idea if that's the real deal or not. And so that's why when you look at what's going on, you got to have some patience here, because these people live in a personal hell. People that are abused don't want to share this information because they've already been embarrassed, and now they don't want to be embarrassed again. And so this is why when you look at what's going on here, it says some disrespectful things were said on their end that make me definitely walk out and call my. Oh, and I'm sorry, I'm reading the Jalen Ramsey one, which I screwed up there. That's not a good one there. That was the other one that I wanted. Where's the Antonio Brown one?
Jalen Ramsey though was good.
Yeah, no, especially the press conference.
And you totally changed my opinion of the guy.
I didn't.
Well, you pointing it out.
Yeah, I pointed it out, but it's like one of those things that you would like.
The only thing, like Mike was telling us yesterday, I think he's on his best behavior.
Maybe.
Because he wants out. So you don't go out and bash. It's going to be like, yeah, I want to bring you into my locker room, dude. No, sorry.
Right.
Thanks, but no thanks.
That's why I don't know about the Dolphins trading for him. But before we get to anything like that, Antonio Brown, right? So Klemko from SI put out all this stuff, and then the lawyer went on to say to, talking about the girl. Our client is understandably frightened by these text messages, which are clearly intended to threaten and intimidate her. Attorney Lisa Banks wrote, while she clearly qualifies as a starving artist, she has never approached Mr. Brown, nor will she, about seeking money to compensate her for his sexual misconduct, contrary to allegations in the text message. Okay? She's only wanted the money for the painting. That's it. The entire time. This is a woman getting married, or got married already. She got married last week before she had to talk to the NFL. This is one of those weird situations that if you're gold digging, that's not the way you go about it. You usually don't get married to somebody and then go to this, because this puts you in the middle of a spotlight, and it's not something that you're I mean, let me tell you, the husband also has got to be, this is a pretty big person to be, helping her go through all this.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about that he's there supporting her through all of this. This again, public shame that goes with it. Not that she should be ashamed, okay? The only one that should be ashamed is Antonio Brown, who, by the way, Nike released also. Nike said Antonio Brown is no longer a Nike athlete. So he was dumped also by it. But I hope that they do the right thing. I have not seen anything yet on Pro Football Talk. If he's going to be put on a commissioner's exempt list, if the Patriots are going to put him, if they're going to suspend him, I'm not sure. You know what we could do? Okay, here at the top of the hour, let's get the Flores press conference ready that already was played so we can hear him talk about Josh Rosen. Okay, let's do that, because Brian Flores had a press conference addressing the Josh Rosen situation. At 3:30, Blaine Bishop is going to join us, the four-time Pro Bowl safety and co-host at 104.5 Wake Up Zone and Titans Radio. He's going to join us at 3:30. And why do I want to bring him on? Well, the Titans got their asses kicked last night. Mariota got sacked 9 times, and they might be talking Ryan Tannehill next. So I just want to see what his thoughts are. I want to see where it goes, because eventually I got to bring on my man Manish Mehta to talk, because I warned him about Adam Gase, right? And so now he's been kind of pointing out a lot of the Adam Gase stuff.
You want to hold this, man? I think we got Josh Rosen live.
Well, all right, let's go to Josh Rosen. Let's do it.
Get in the first 2 games, just put my best foot forward, so I didn't really have any expectations.
Obviously, this is what you've been looking forward to since the time you got here, but just how your time last year, starting, 14 games, how do you feel that will prepare you, moving forward, especially taking the Dallas?
I think any experience is good experience, so I got plenty of things that I remember even Sam Bradford teaching me through the dog days of training camp in Arizona that I still take with me, and Fitz has been an unbelievable help. Really since I got here. So I think to answer your question, any experience is good experience.
This will be your chance to lead this team now as the quarterback. How do you approach things differently as far as a locker room presence?
I don't think drastically differently. I think you just sort of gradually sort of come into that role, but I'm not going to do anything tomorrow or the next day that I did drastically different from yesterday.
What is your leadership style?
I think a lot of it's very relationship based. I think you got to know kind of the buttons you can push and wear with certain guys. I like establishing a friendship and connection with a lot of the guys that I'm playing with, and get to know them and know that I'm as invested in them as I hope they are in me and this team's success. So that, and then the vocal aspect will come with time. But I'm not really a big rah-rah guy. I don't do a lot of motivational speeches and stuff. But I'll definitely pull guys aside and try to have tough or easy or any kinds of conversations, just to try and make sure we're all heading in the same direction.
Josh, why do you think you're in this role now as a starter? What have you focused on most over these past few weeks that have elevated you to number 1?
I think just consistency, just being able to just consistently get a little bit better every day. And I didn't know what the threshold was, but in Coach Flo's mind, there was a threshold at which would be enough for him to name me the starter, and just put my head down for the last couple months, and I guess I hit it.
Flo said he thought you kind of saw an opportunity to seize, this job. Is there anything you kind
Kind of, maybe a little bit, but I think I got the message in the first game when he put me in at the end that there's some kind of time clock clicking. Is just sort of my responsibility to get all my stuff right, I guess you could say. But when he put me in the first game, I kind of understood the situation and where everything was heading, so I just had to patiently wait and keep grinding and know that inevitably it was coming. You're good.
How does this offense get better?
Execution. I mean, I think it's a really complex system coming from New England. So I think it's only a matter of time before enough of these reps and enough of these game reps and practice reps will get it down and slowly improve. I mean, I'm hoping and rooting for a dramatic improvement, but I don't think we're going to go out and score 100 touchdowns and throw for 1,000,000 yards. I think the key is just to keep grinding away. Don't do anything drastically different than what we've been doing to trust the process and just continually try to get better and better over time. I mean, obviously right now we need a spark, and I'm going to try and provide that spark, but not by doing anything crazy out of the ordinary from what I've done that's gotten me up to this point in my career.
So that being said, I guess what is the realistic expectation for how you can play?
I don't know. I don't know how to say this without getting myself in trouble, but I mean, I like to think that I'm a pretty aggressive player. So we have really good athletes on our team, and I'm gonna try and let them be the ballers that they are. Yeah, I think I just have a bit more of. I think Fitz is very explosive player as well. I think we all kind of realized that last year. But I think we just have different play styles, and hopefully mine provides some kind of spark to the team.
We saw, I guess, even in the late games you were in, and you were taking those shots deep, with Jakeem or some of those other guys. Is that kind of what you're mentioning, where you may be able to take a few of those deep chances, creating some of those big plays?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, at the same time, you also kind of have to know when to taper it back a little bit and play more intelligently. That's kind of been the battle of me against myself throughout my entire career. I'm a very aggressive player, but sometimes I'll take chances that they're like, oh, good job. But great in the moment, but sort of that affirmation that it worked, maybe the next time it doesn't, isn't a good thing. So, yeah.
What do you think you are, Josh, now in terms of reading defenses and keeping the offense on schedule?
Sorry?
Where do you think you are in terms of reading defenses and making the right decisions and keeping the offense on schedule?
I don't know, better than yesterday. I don't know to give you a frame of reference in terms of like against what, but better than I've ever been, and just continue to try to improve upon it.
I guess there's been a lot of talk about this team and the future and them drafting a quarterback and all that different stuff. Floto said he advised you to kind of focus on now, but does that cross your mind at any point, what this team's future and long-term plans are?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you definitely think about it to an extent, but it doesn't really change anything I do or affect it. I mean, I've got ears and I've got eyes, so I mean, watching something's going on with Harbaugh and Andy Reid, but like you see and hear things, but it's just it does or doesn't affect you, or you try to not let it affect you.
Final question, guys.
Both you briefly and Brian have mentioned Ryan's role in helping you get ready for Sunday. What are some examples of things that he's done to help prepare you to start?
All kinds of stuff. I mean, Fitz is typing avidly on that thing. Something's going on. But Fitz, he's as a veteran of his stature. He's got a good amount of say, even within like the game plan, and I think he's someone that even a couple coaches lean on for a couple here and there. So with me specifically, he helps me with study techniques that that have been good with him throughout his career. Helps me with different ways of seeing particular defenses, different little tips. I think in football, when a lot of the times you game plan so heavily, there are a million things to look at, but when you get onto the field and you're about to snap the ball, you can't look at a million things. You got to realize what's the important information that I need, and how do I use that information to sort of execute this particular play. So Fitz has been probably most helpful with sort of trying to understand what information is valuable with regards to defenses and your own plays and trying to play fast in the field.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, John.
Appreciate you.
There you go. That is Josh Rosen addressing the media. And although I got to say that the one question was, what's the realistic expectation on how you can play? How's he supposed to answer that? Is he supposed to go out and say, well, come on, dude, I'm going to throw 50 touchdowns for the next 14 games. I'm going to throw 50 interceptions. How the hell does he know how he's going to play? All he can do is go out there, bust his ass, and play the best he can. He can't tell you exactly what realistic expectations. Well, I think I'll throw for 3,400 yards, a 67% completion percentage, that is, 32 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. And then, is that what you're going to quote? I just found it funny. What's the realistic expectation on how you can play? I thought that was a really odd question. He did say, hey, we need a spark, and I hope to provide it. And he has gone downfield in the second half, something that you don't see much from Fitz. I mean, you don't see much at all from Fitz. None of the offense from Fitz looks any good. Just doesn't look like something you can count on. And then when asked about playing and the fact that this team might be in play for another quarterback, he said that he understands, and I've got ears, I've got eyes. I try not to let it affect me. And he also mentioned that it doesn't affect how he prepares either, which is true. It's not going to affect the way you prepare. So to me, I love the realistic approach that the kid has. I'm just looking forward to him playing for the next 14 games. All right, let's take a quick break. Let's reshuffle. Maybe we'll hear from Brian Flores here on the other side. We'll also work our way to Blaine Bishop and Chris Long in this hour. So we'll talk to the handicapper. We'll get his picks on college football. We'll get his picks in the NFL. Blaine Bishop, former safety, four-time Pro Bowler from the Tennessee Titans. He is going to join us at the bottom of this hour, so we'll get his thoughts on what happened with the Titans last night and should they go to Ryan Tannehill. Is Ryan Tannehill going to be leading the Tennessee Titans to a mediocre record? We will find out from Blaine Bishop in hour number 3 of the podcast broadcast. Coming to you live, baby, from beautiful Hialeah Park. Jalen Ramsey. I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think you should do it. I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever, to be honest with you. So I get